Dr. G. Really?
Welcome to Open Circle Gathering with my co-host Amenaru Bey. I'm Dr. G, and we are glad that you could join us for today's program entitled Dismantling History. Welcome. How are you, my brother?
Peace. How are you, my sister?
I'm great. I am so good. I'm good. I'm doing like two things at the same time. I have this new platform called Bigo Live. And so of course all they can see is the green screen. Unfortunately, they don't see the beautiful background and the skylight that's behind me. And they don't see you, but hopefully they can hear you and they'll be able to hear this conversation.
Okay.
I am so happy to be back. Every 2 weeks we do this live broadcast we entitle Open Circle Gathering, which means that, it's actually open for to come in for discussion and for, I guess, enlightenment. And our motto is that we're really taking a dive, into life's mysteries, right? So today is no exception. And we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is the dismantling of history. I see you got your whiteboard there in the background. Let me see if I can get a little broader. There you go.
You see my little people, my Moors right here?
I see you got some drawings. It's kind of off to your right shoulder a bit, but I don't know whether you want it directly behind you or put it back a little bit, but when you get ready to make your point, fine.
No, it's just there.
It's just there. Okay, cool. Well, listen, I just really wanted to, really delve into something that came up. I brought it up to you. Came to mind about a year ago with me, and I'm always thinking. And so, because I'm always thinking, things are always coming up. And about a year ago, having taken, being studying under Brother Abdullah Al-Talib Mosi Bey with his etymology studies, I began to look into the meaning of words. And I realized that a lot of times we were always trying to take the word history. And in taking the word history, what we would do is we want to break it up and put HIS and then STORY. We actually would add another S to it because we wanted to say or make it a point that it was not our story,
right?
But it was his story. And so one day, as I was, doing my thinking and so forth, my higher self said to me, look, well, the word his is a a possessive pronoun, meaning it belongs to, the male of the gender. But look up the word Tory. And so when I looked up the word Tory, I was amazed. I made a couple of, I'm going to bring this up if you don't mind while we're doing this so it'll make sense. Let me see, make sure, pick up this banner. So here we go. His is an old English, is genitive of he. It, we know what that is. And now you see where it comes from. It's Old Saxon and it's German. But the Tory, here's the part. So Tory is a noun. It is in 1566, the description of it was it's an outlaw, specifically one of a class of Irish robbers noted for outrages and savage cruelty. You look further, it also is a brigand, robber, British loyalist. So my higher self, or Most High, said to me, now I want you to stop trying to put together those words or break them apart and add an S, his Tory, because it's not his story. It is definitely his Tory. And when you look up his Tory, you realize that, and you look at it in that terms, you realize that the Tory portion of it is the fact that what we have is basically as I called it. I'm gonna post this up here. No, right here. Make sure I get the right thing. Here, I have to get things in order where I put stuff. I think I did it here. Let me get it right. Maybe I didn't pull it up, so I can't pull it up. But actually, the point I wanted to make is that history, if you will, there is no such thing as a Black history or a Moorish history, but more history as we know it is merely a modern European interjection into our Moorish or anybody else's reality. So I actually did. I forgot what my sign looked like that I made. So I said there's no Moorish history. There's no Black history. There's none of that stuff that we've been used to, because the word itself, history, is reference to something specific that was done to us, not what we've done. Let me look and see if we have any comments in here, because I probably am confusing the hell out of people. So what I'm trying to, thank you. Yes. Stop trying to break the word up and say it's his story and realize that it's his Tory. And when you think in terms of his Tory, you think in terms of the lies, the deception, the creation and the recreation of things. They have deleted actual facts of our reality. We don't have a history because we didn't create that dynamic. What we have, I say, is a never ending. We have a beginning and a never ending. We always have been. I think it said never was a time, the prophet said, when we were not. And so we don't have history, because history in that sense is something that was created to change the reality of how things actually were.
Right. Exactly.
So
you said a couple things. And by the way, peace to my brother Abdullah. I talked to him a couple days ago. Very humble brother, very smart. So you said two things. You said that history is an interjection. Okay, yeah. It's an interjection into Moorish history. Now, what people don't understand is that his story is actually linked to Moorish history and even some wars that happened during the Moorish time. Now, you said it is an interjection to our reality.
Yes.
Let me explain that. So our reality is defined as existence. Remember, we were talking about that. Right. So existence is defined as a state of living, having, or an objective reality. Okay. And those who don't know, interjection just means to interrupt. So his story or his robbery interrupted our existence. Does that make sense to the people? So when you break down these words and look at the metaphysics and the linguistics of it, and you mentioned that it came from like the Anglo-Saxon. Okay, so people don't know that Anglo-Saxon, they had a language, but it wasn't perfected. They were speaking in like oohs and ahs. It wasn't until the Moorish Latin got a hold of the Anglo-Saxon English, and as well as Dramatic, and actually made it into a language that we're speaking now. So let's look a little bit different. So existence. So when we define our existence, our experience, we are going into a point of time where we existed in the very beginning. Okay, and existence also means to appear, to arise, to become, or to be, or I am that I am, to be. Okay, and if you look at the Latin prefix of existence, is ex, which means out, and when you add it to the causative verb of the stare, meaning to stand. Okay, so we stand out, or you can say we are people that are outstanding. Okay, so that's how we use our terminology to uplift ourselves. But when you break down Tory, you show them the etymology of it. It means a robber. So people don't know that the first colonists that came here to America were considered Tories. Okay, and they were outlaws. They were rebels. That's why you had the Revolutionary War. Okay, so let me dig a little deeper into the etymology. So around 1646, the term was used as a derogatory term for Irish Catholics, okay, who were deprived of their land. So, but it resorted to outlawry. So look at it like this. you become a Tory or a robber or an outlaw when someone takes your land. When someone takes your land, what are you going to do? You're going to fight back. They're going to call you outlaws, right? Like, look at today. Today, we are under colonization. So a lot of us seek to separate from that system. And what do they call us? They call us outlaws. They call us extremists, you know, whole kind of names.
Mm-hmm.
So that word Tory was used as an adjective for people who were trying to uprise out of a political construct. And later down the road, it was applied as a political party. So let me finish. So the term was also applied to support the Catholic Duke of York, okay, who was later named King James II. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm trying to show you how the word Tory became political and how the name is being used today, but under a different name in disguise. So that's the thing about the English language. They take words that had a previous meaning, rename it to disguise pretty much who they are and to disguise who we were. Okay, it's a form of disassociating you from your history, your culture, your bloodline, and your pedigree. Okay?
I want to interject a little bit, just a bit about the history, because see, we got to unlearn some stuff because we, as I've already established, we don't have a history. So we got to say more like our existence. I know it's probably in the narrative of what, and it's been in our mouth. It's just like getting away from calling ourselves Negro or Black or African American. It takes some doing, but let us be the first to start, you know, working on that, because even though they may say history in the thing that explaining it, we don't have history. Doesn't have to belong to us. That's not our narrative. That's not our reality, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. And history, we can't stop saying our story for our Tory, because we don't have a Tory, right? You know, I know we put an S in front of it and say story, but it's his Tory, and we don't have a Tory. So, you know, that's
so what is story? So what is story? Story is a tale. What is a tale? It's a fable.
Well,
it's a lie.
We may have a story, but we don't have his story.
We have experiences.
We have experience. You know? We have the reality of our existence that we have. There was a time when we were not, right? And even though that there have been interjections into this reality called of us, you know, we have to realize the power and the self-existence and the continuance that we have had throughout the ages in spite of history.
Right.
Because history will tell us otherwise.
Right. So they, in the modern terms, they kind of took the term Tories and made it into something more beneficial for them, in other words. So at first it was a language of an outlaw, a robber. It was something derogatory. And then in today's modern terms, they changed the name, or they alluded the name to conservative. Okay. So when you hear the word conservative, that was linked to the word Tory. Okay. So this is how they're changing the words, or the lexicon of the words, to benefit themselves. So we hear the word conservative all the time, but people don't understand that conservative came from Tory. Okay, now who were the Tories? The Tories were actually people in over in England. Okay, Tory was the name of a British political party. Okay, you're talking about the history of the Yorkist Tories. Mm-hmm. Now, anybody know about the Yorkist Tories? Okay, they think of the Yorkist conquest of the Lancastrians in 1461. Okay, some of you know this as the War of the Roses, okay, which was a series of English wars for the control of the throne of England. Now, this is where you get into the Masonic realm, okay, because you have your Yorkists, which is from your York Rite. That's where New York was named after. It was named after the Catholic Duke of York, which was King James II. So, and everybody knows the history of how the Masonic came into New York and into Washington, D.C. So the reason why, and I'm looking at the comments, people got to understand that, you know, someone was talking, oh, y'all speaking colonies and this and that. You got to understand that we set the tone for education and language on this planet. Okay, so there was nothing that any other civilization got that didn't come from us. It's just that when it went through different lands and through different cultures, it changed. It changed for the benefit. Like, for an example, if you ever read Stolen Legacy, you know, the Romans, the Greeks, everybody learned from Kemet. Okay, but what they did was they took the information and they molded it into their culture.
And I'm trying to figure out this comments from New Channel Root Words 1, because we're not pushing no slave stuff. Matter of fact, we're pushing the fact that we always have been. So you got that twisted. I'm not sure.
Well,
you're totally misunderstanding what our point is when we're talking about dismantling his Tory. It has nothing to do with pushing slave stuff. I don't promote slave. I promote the fact that we have always been. I promote the fact that we were on this landmass because we had migrated here from other parts of the world long before Colombo and all of the rest of those, Vespucci and all the ones that have given credit in his Tory for having done so. So we're not pushing you know, and we're not Pan-African. We're just speaking about the word and the of history and where it comes from. So well, you're saying you're not being rude, but your comments seem to be very obtrusive and rude. I don't mind.
So here's the thing
with us, but no, just let me make my point to New Channel. You may not be in rude. Your intention may not be to be rude, but the way you're coming across, you are seeming as though you are combative. And if you know, you got a right to say what you say, but I want to make it clear that we are not pushing anything with regard to slavery. I reject the notion, you know, of that mass slavery that they put in his Tory, for example. I think we both do. Continue.
Okay, so I get what he's trying to say. So he's bringing in pretty much an air argument outside of what we are defining right now. So he's saying pretty much we're from here. Yes, we're from America. Okay, I mean, we know that. But what we're talking about is the language. Okay, so and when we say people were shipped here and brought there, we're talking about a political time in history where the different cultures. Yes, we were all over the planet, but you got different cultures that were mixed up. That kind of migrated into other lands to share the information. That's what we're talking about. So I think what he's doing, or he or she is getting ahead of themselves.
Yeah, because
not really.
First of all, you know, we do not know, and I do, you know, even though some of what you are sharing, Brother Amenaru, may be what they've written in his story. Mm-hmm. We realize that there is a lot of distortion in that. We know that there's a lot of creation of, you know, they always say to the victor go the spoils and so forth. However, we as a people fell from our state of dominating, if you will, the globe. At some point, someone else stepped in and started writing the narrative. And when they wrote the narrative, they interjected themselves into our reality, which I'm refusing to call history because that's what it became, history. When the 400, I would submit to you that in the time between so-called time between the end of the Old Testament and the beginning of the New Testament in the King James Bible, that those 400 silent years that they claim that God was silent. Now, I have a doctorate in theology, and we're taught that God stopped speaking for 400 years. Yeah, right. But in any event, during that 400-year period was a period of time of which they were writing, not rewriting, but constructing. They have a reconstruction period, but they were constructing history. They were creating the history. They were deconstructing. They were tearing down monuments and defacing things and doing so much to negate our existence and to relegate us to some very primitive, you know, antediluvian state. While that 400-year period, they were generationally creating what is now known as history.
Right. So since he's talking about America, so let's jump into the continent of America with this word Tory or history. Okay, so of course, we were the first indigenous people here until the colonists came. So when the colonists came, why did they come here from England? All right. So let me explain it. So in 1769, Tory was the name given to colonists who remained loyal to the crown, which put them in a relative position to the pre-revolutionary war. Okay, so we still talking about politics. So those of you who know about the French Revolution, these colonists that came here, they were considered like traitors. Okay, they were traitors in thought, but not in deed. Okay, because they ran from Mother England to try to seek sovereignty here in America, but they still upheld the deeds. In other words, they still honored the crown and the laws, okay, of England, believe it or not. So in modern terms, you know, like I said, it's been defined as a traitor, and it was described to non-jurors and persons refusing to take an oath of fidelity to the state. So let's go back. So who are they considering a Tory? As anybody who is not taking an oath to the state. Okay, so if you're not an officer of the state, or if you seek separation from the state, or if you are part of a Moorish nation and you show allegiance to your own nation, if you're in the Nation of Islam, you show allegiance to the Nation of Islam, they look at you and like, oh, you're a Tory. Okay, so it's like what they do is they switch roles. Okay, what they were, okay, outlaws and running from England and, you know, in the royal crown. Then they twist it, you know, that's why I feel Valentine called it the twistery. Then they twist it and put it on us, okay, and give us the labels. And then the labels we had of titles of nobility, they take that. It's an old switcheroo game, okay? It's just like if you're looking at Webster's Dictionary of 1829, it defines American as a copper-colored indigenous aboriginal person, right? So switcheroo, boom. Now it's applied to Europeans who came here and colonized the land. So let's go back. So I mentioned conservative. So in 1830, Tory was replaced with conservative. They call conservatives anyone who opposes change to pure democracy. Okay, so a conservative, the word came from the 14th century. Okay, and basically it's a person who tended to preserve or protect or preserve having the power to keep whole or safe. Okay, so they are opposed to change, especially in a lot of this political stuff going on, and a lot of people are getting smarter and smarter. So when they rebel and they don't want change, like socialism or something like that, you're called a conservative. Okay, where did conservative come from? It came from Tory. They're calling you an outlaw. Anyone who opposes the state or the government or the United States is called an outlaw. But they change it to conservative. They change it to extremist. They change it to all these other terms. So the other public or the other people in society look at this group like, oh, no, y'all sovereign citizens. No. Y'all Moorish extremists. Y'all Nation Islam extremists. No, y'all black militia. No, that's not right. So basically, it's a mind game, okay, to put what was a term that was originally applied to the colonists here, okay, under colonialism, and reverse it on us. When I tell people this, you can't separate and you cannot integrate, okay? They didn't want you to integrate and they don't want you to separate, okay? Todd speaks about this when he talks about the public exemption account and the bonds. That's one reason why they don't want you to separate. So any faction trying to form their own nation, like Moors, you got the Nation of Islam, which is an actual nation among themselves, you know, and peace to my brother Ben X, you know, he's been doing some good things. But these people, we are looked at as conservatives, okay, because we don't want to change with the political system they try to force down our throats, okay? They trying to give us Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. They want to give us Trump. You know, we got to vote. You know, it's like, who says so? Okay, who says we can't vote for our own people in our neighborhood?
Because we have, let's be honest. We have been given a constant barrage of fear, and we
Yes.
fear our, we don't even know, even while we're being feared, we have been moved to become fearful, because anytime you get a constant, the barrage of the things that we begin to see and hear, on the media and so forth, all the various things, and all the, we look at all of these things, and we have actually kind of bumped our heads and don't know our own power and authority. And so when you don't know your authority, or you don't know your power, then your power is taken from you, because you will do exactly you right now. Many people are suffering what I call, and a lot of people other call, group think. Whatever the masses think, people are afraid to be independent of thought. I'm a very independent thinker. I'm a person that, if you don't like what I post on my my social media post, and I'm like, don't watch it, get off my page. But I'm not going to change what I believe to be true just because the masses are going off the edge like lemmings. They follow each other and they'll go to their deaths. I'm not the one. Dr. G's not the one. If I was the one when I was waking up and was a sort of revered pastor apostle, I would have got back and stepped in line and made sure that I stayed in with the in crowd. But to me, that's groupthink. When you begin, everybody has a knower. All of you all, everybody listening to this, you have a knower. It means you have an instinctively built-in frequency, that a meter that lets you know when things are true or not. But because we are so decimated and brainwashed by what we see and what we hear and who everybody else is following, we don't follow the internal compass that we were incarnated with.
Right.
And so when we do these things that we're doing, like I said, everybody, we're not telling you that we're 100% on point. I'm like the brother that says, we just here to make you think. We want you to think for yourself. And that's the same thing that Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey says, because at the end of the day, his thing is, he doesn't feel like he knows it all, even though people revere him and think he's like a godlike and all that. I sit and talk with this man. I mean, he stays in my home. We're very close friends. We're family. We're brother and sister. And he don't think what you all think. He wants you to think. And so this type of discussion and anything that we bring is just to get you to think. It's not, we know that everybody's not going to agree, and I haven't blocked whatever person that is saying all this stuff on there, because, y'all let him, her, I don't know what, show their own who they are. And y'all form your opinion, because even though we don't have, even though we don't have moderators, we got moderators here. We got folks online that are faithful listeners, viewers, and they will check you.
Right.
They will check you when you starting to become disruptive. So don't let us put no energy mojo on you and lock you up so you can't type nothing, okay? Because you need to open up your ears and listen before you start spouting out all this stuff that seems to be a distraction. That's exactly what we're dealing with. On a higher spiritual level, we're dealing with grand distraction. While other things are taking place behind the scenes, we're being distracted. And we can even come together on a forum like this and say, hey, yeah, let me think about that. You don't have to agree with it, but let's think about it.
Correct. So everything you said, is correct. Basically, it's like this.
Wait a minute, hold up. Let me just say one other thing. New channel root words. I know you did not write there that y'all go against Taj Tariq. I hope you're not saying I go against Taj Tariq, because Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey spent the night in my home the night before last, has a key to my house, and he can see this video. So I hope you're talking about somebody else, y'all. So otherwise, you are so out of line.
Dr. G.
You are so out of line with that.
Dr. G. So what he's doing is they're trolling you. And trolls, what they do is they disrupt the conversation and take you off focus for what we're trying to say.
Here's I didn't try my best with whoever, and I'm gonna put you in timeout. That's what I'm gonna do. Put you in timeout right now. I didn't block you, but you're timeout. You in timeout right now. So
all right. So let me clarify something. You know, for people reading this comment talking about we're trying to put everybody in Africa. Notice I didn't say Egypt. I said Kemet. Kemet was an empire that stretched from Africa all the way into America. Okay, those of you who know, there are Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon. Okay, some of the indigenous Native Americans here have traces of Islam from Africa as well as Kemet. So don't let trolls like that confuse you. Okay, that's why I said Kemet and not Egypt, which is the modern term. Okay, so back to what we were saying. So the reason
let me just make sure, is the echo still there? You all?
No, I don't hear anything.
No, they hear an echo. I just changed the gain on this mic. I want to know if you're still hearing the echo. Please let us know in the chat whether or not you're still hearing the echo.
Let us know if the echo's on my side or her side.
I think it's on my side.
Okay.
Yeah, because I hear it. I hear some feedback. So I'm gonna try change this. I don't know what to do. Yeah, see if it's less of it now. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Y'all, when I get a better microphone, we'll be able to do this better. Okay. We'll do the best we can.
Right. So people got to understand that.
Now, okay, good.
Yeah. So people got to understand that after 1492, when the Christians expelled the Moors and forced them, some Moors stayed and forced them under Christianity, you got to understand that they sought to hide Moorish history. And the only way you can really find it is to latch on the key words. Like I said, the word Tory, believe it or not, is linked to like Moorish, like wars on Moorish territory, especially with the Yorkies. Also, if you look at some of if you look at some of the name of the lands in a lot of these old wars, they have Moorish names. Okay, one is like the Hedgley Moor. Okay, it was the battle at the Hedgley Moor. Those are the Battle of the Roses, and that was the York against the Lancashire. Okay, that was Lord Montagu and Duke Somerset. And basically, the War of the Roses, where it was like the Yorks had the white rose, and the Lancasters had the red rose or the Rosy Cross. This is why the Rosy Cross is a Masonic order, but not part of the Masonic order. Okay, the Masonic order here in the United States has a York Rite and it has a Scottish Rite. Okay, your York Rite comes from your Yorkist. Okay, and your Scottish Rite, I'm gonna leave that alone for right now. Let's focus on Yorkist. So let me explain something about that. So I mentioned the Catholic Duke of York, which was later King James II, who ruled from 1685 to 1688. Okay, so that term was applied to the Catholics, okay, under King James II. So in his succession to the throne of England. So after 1689, Tory was the name of a British political party, like I said at first composed of Yorkist Tories. Look that up, of 1680. So now the term Tory was superseded to be used colloquially as an adjective of a term used in 1680. So colloquially just means informal or slang. Okay, they just threw it around or whatever. So the Yorkists, who were the Yorkists? The Yorkists were the royal family in England. Okay, and again, that was the war, the Yorkist conquest of the Lancastrians in 1461. Write that down, 1461. When were the Moors expelled from Andalusia or Spain? 1492, right? So in 1461, you had Moors still in leadership and ruling over there in England. So, like I said, you know, the Yorkists, the white rose, and Lancaster was the red rose. So, and if you go back to the land they were fighting over Hedgley Moor. Okay, so basically that deals with so the location was in England. The Yorkists, they proved victory. It was the first campaign. It was a long campaign. So this is so deep that you will have, it'll take a whole nother segment to dig deep into history. But I just wanted to show everybody that the Moorish history is hidden behind certain words and certain things that happened in history. Once you know the dates, once you know the Moor terminology, you can find the Moorish history that they tried to hide. Because what did they say during the Atlantic slave trade? What did they say during slavery in America? If you don't want them to know something, put it in a book. But not only did they put it in a book, they changed the terminology, okay, that which defines the word. So when you do look into the book, you don't know what you're reading. A good example of that is the Bible, okay, which is allegory, okay. You can't read it literally. It's the same concept. So, you know, the first English that that the prisoner of war, whatever you want to call them, slaves, you know, the Negroes, the language that they were made to speak was called Black English. Okay, this is what it was called. And the reason why it was called Black English, because it was a broken form of the bastardized language English. Okay, so the reason why we were given what was called Black English then is so we wouldn't comprehend the words that they were writing, not only in the books, but on the walls and on signs. So pretty much they tried to keep us from interpreting and knowing who we were. Okay, and that goes back to what was that famous letter written by the slave master, the guy who owned the slave? What was that famous letter?
Allegedly
Willie Lynch. Yes. So Willie Lynch, you know, sought to not only change the paradigm of slavery, but also the lexicon, and keep us from not only knowing agriculture, but to keep us from reading and learning. He got this idea from Haiti, okay, because Haiti defeated so many regiments of European armies. They learned their lesson. They're like, okay, the slaves in America, we're not going to let them learn agriculture because they learn how to make poisons and stuff like that. We're not going to allow them to congregate. The only place they can congregate is in the church on Sunday, and we're going to monitor them. Okay, we're going to have a European slave owner sit in the church and monitor. Okay, see, people think that the Negroes at the time, because that's what they were called, what they were calling us, the Negroes at the time were given freedom to go into the church off of the field, but they don't know that there was always a slave watcher watching the congregation to make sure they wasn't doing anything they weren't supposed to. Okay, we see that in many places. You know, they have it in the Masonic order. So I'm not going to get deep in that, but you got to understand that, you know, we're being watched at every angle. And the moment we try to break free or free our minds or reprogram our minds to the right understanding, overstanding, and understanding, you get labels. Okay, so the reason why we're dismantling history, yes, we're dismantling his Tory, but this example also applies to every other language. Okay, you have to know the history of a word, because the thing is, the beginning that the word was initiated, the beginning meaning of that word was the true meaning of that word. Now in the English language, they changed the words over time. Okay, so but you got to understand that energy, words are energy. Okay, so if the word began at this time and meant this, that is the energy that forever goes along with it, like black. Okay, today we make the word black a positive thing, but it still holds the same energy. That's why we are still in the same condition that we're in today. People don't understand this.
Okay, all right, my turn.
Go ahead.
Hopefully it's not an echo. I muted myself while you were talking, so maybe you can mute yourself, and maybe that'll do.
All right, let's do this. Go.
Mute. Okay. Hopefully y'all can hear me without an echo. All right, my co-host, and I love him dearly. We co-host and we don't totally agree on everything that's being said. So I want to, I'm listening intently to you, Brother Amenaru, And I'm hearing that it's going to take you some time to get over the use of certain terminology because history still comes up. I'm rejecting his story altogether. I'm all right with her story or our story, but we always were. There's no his story. His story belongs to them, and it does not belong to us. Somebody says, how can we be both rulers and slaves? His story has created a narrative that has given us certain images. Like I saw certain people say, this didn't happen until 1800, and this didn't happen to us. How you know? Because history told you, because you weren't there. And as they've written these things in history, then certain things now become embedded in our psyche as knowledge because we've studied history. We have not studied reality as much as we've studied history, and history will prove itself to have been fabricated at best. And so when I've said, for instance, that the period between the so-called alleged 400 years between the ending of the so-called Old Testament and the beginning of the New Testament, the so-called silent years when God wasn't speaking, was a time when they were actually reconstructing or constructing their own narrative. Somebody came up and said, well, this didn't happen until 1800. So how do you know? Because you know it from history. And that's what we're taking apart. That's what we're dismantling. We're telling you that you see pictures in history that shows slaves, families lined up against the front of their shack, multi-generational, and they're put in the books as slaves. But what you didn't know is that in most cases, those were pictures taken of people who were the landowners, and they came through these albions and snap pictures. And there they were. Of course, they weren't all dressed up and like the history showed you that the Albion was attired. But here, because they're farmers, they work their land, and so they take a picture. They're all up there. This 20 strong, 25 in front of the house, multi-generational. They slap it in the book as history and tell you and I that those were slaves. Those were landowners. So you can't believe history because we have proven, I think at the very beginning of this, if you weren't here, that history is a lie in most cases. It is an interjection into our reality. So you can't say that. And if I'm using the term history, I'm using it to say it is a negative. I'm not saying there's Moorish history. I'm not going to say there's Black history or Native American or whatever you want to call it history. I'm saying that history was fabricated in order to control the narrative. And just like 100 years from now, when all of us will have been transitioned or come back again or whatever, his story, if it's allowed to continue as it has, will rewrite what is happening right now. It will change the reason. It will change the hair texture and the complexions of the participants. It will rewrite things altogether and interject it just as it does, that makes us think that we came somewhere on all of these, sardine slave ships for all these, people some of our people enslaved, sold our people over to slavery. But I'm telling you this, that we are such a mighty people that there's no way that these little pithy Albions were able to just come in and just decimate and take out people, except that we gave them over, the ones that did. But the numbers are nothing like what has been reported in history. Just like you and I are not minorities, although they tell us in this, in the U.S. that we are the minorities, when the truth of it is we are not only were we not the minorities here in America, but we're not the minority. We are the majority on the globe, but yet we call ourselves minorities. We the minority, the minority. This we don't jump up and say, oh, well, we're not the minority. We allow them to call us Black, Negro, African American. We allow them to take away, our birthright and so forth, and we just mumble amongst ourselves, but we don't stand up to them. So my thing is, when I talk about dismantling history, I'm really talking about dismantling the lies and the deception under which we have allowed ourselves to be governed for too long.
Ashe. So a better term to use will be our story. Okay. And I just want to clarify for the people, you know, you're still going to have the word history out there. Okay. And you're still going to interact with people and they're going to say the word history. The point of what we do here is to reawaken your mind. Okay. So we just want you to be familiar with the original term of a word and the energy that is behind it. So hopefully that will put into your psyche to look for the correct information when trying to know yourself and when trying to uplift your brothers and sisters in this fallen humanity state. Okay, so I know there's a lot of people had disagreements in the chat. That's fine, but you got to look deeper than what we're actually saying on the surface. Okay, because what we're giving you in these couple hours is not enough to really go through the whole science of what it is you need to do to reprogram your mind. If you read the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, which is still relevant today, you know, when we speak about these words, we're speaking about politics, okay? Because politics runs everything. So, you know, we can make the argument, yeah, we were in Africa, we were first on the planet, we can make that argument. But what we're talking about is political, okay? Political is what's keeping your mind and your body in the state that it's in, and in some cases, keeping our people automatons, okay? And right now, we're in a time where the battle for your mind is so high. You know, they're throwing out whole kind of distractions at you. They're throwing out all this racist wars. They're throwing out, and to be honest, even the militias out there is distracting you from what politics are doing, okay? Because you got to remember, racism is psychological too, okay? It's a psychological science, you know, and if you ever read the book by Sanchu, The Art of War, it explains everything that's going on today, okay? The tactics. So all this racism, yeah, we know it exists, but we forget that no matter what politics come in speaking their tongue, it's still the same system. I say different person, same toilet, okay? So you got this is to get you to think, okay, and not be okie doke by the language that's given to you. Like Dr. G said, minority. Well, in law, minority means childlike mind, okay? So by them calling us minority, not only meant that we were, well, it was a lie to say that we were the lesser people in quantity, but it meant childlike mind in law. This is in the Black Laws Dictionary. So we have to come up out of the childlike mind and become adults and know thyself, okay? And really, you know, change your perception of the reality that you were given. Change the perception of the existence you were given, okay? Once you do that, once you go back to the real definition of your existence, your culture, your pedigree, your bloodline, honoring your forefathers and mothers, then that's only when you can rise. Taj Tariq Bey told you this. Noble Drew Ali told you this. I mean, it's evident, but you have people out here that's willing to distract you and take you away from the beaten path. See, when you hear the term walking in the valley shadow of death, that's the life that we're living now. It doesn't mean someone died and they're walking in the valley of death. That means we're walking through the valley of death right now. But you have to change your perception of what you were indoctrinated with, okay? And what me and Dr. G and so many others at the House of Reawakening Minds are trying to do is to get you to think, okay? You might get Brother Abdullah on here. You might get Taj on here. You might get the Duke of Tears on here. This channel is here to get you, uplift your mind, okay? Uplift the fallen humanity, but it's got to start with the mind, okay? So his story, or is it our story? Okay, so it's a difference. So I want y'all to get that in your mind, because we have to change the lexicon and we have to change the perception that we were given. Only then can we uplift ourselves, fix our families, fix our communities. Okay, we got to have something in common. So what we're doing is we're giving you something so we can have something in common and build on. Because once you escape out of the lie, what is left? Truth. Okay. Ashe, we good, Dr. G? There you go.
No, we good. We good. We're so good. No, I and I get passionate. I guess I'm sort of, I'm almost like, they say when Brother Shem and Brother Abdullah are on, Brother Shem is, that preacher part of me sometimes will stand up and get very, very passionate about things. I'm convinced that the universe, if you will, is trying to get us to a place where we will just totally embrace our divinity. And when I say divinity, I'm not talking about so much of the, what we think of divinity in terms of church, mosque, or synagogue, but the fact that we are divine beings, that we have divine purpose, and that we're living in a construct that largely has been, while it's been constructed in a way that for many of us makes it seem difficult to maneuver, that we do have a spark within us. We came equipped. It's almost like you're locked in one of those a maze or a prison, and you don't realize that the key is like in the belt buckle of the belt that you've been wearing all your life, and you don't know why you always had this belt on forever, and you think that this little symbol in the middle of it is just a little symbol, and here you are locked and trapped in something when you've got the key to your own salvation and release right on you. You came with it, as a matter of fact. So it is trying to wake up our people to the extent, like you said, that we begin to look within ourselves and say, where is the key to my own deliverance, my own salvation? I don't have to be subject to this mental servitude that we're under, that I could have what I want. And why, if I can have what I want, why don't I have what I want? Because you just don't know who you are, because most of us are waiting for someone outside of ourselves to deliver us. We are looking for a savior. We're looking for salvation, and the salvation, just like what is his name? Ray Hagen said, Jesus is not coming to deliver you, or whatever he said, something to that extent. You are your own salvation. You are your own deliverer. When you unlock your mind, when you allow yourself the privilege of being a little bit selfish enough to think that you are divine, that you have within you the divine spark and the ability to change what it is. If you don't like how you're living, if you don't like what you're getting, then change it. And it seems simple, but can you imagine, Brother Amenaru, if all of us started thinking in terms of, okay, I have the ability to change my reality, but most of us in goodliness, if you will, would want to change things for the better. And so as those minds get off of the negative, get off of history, get off of, made up television and mainstream media visions and sounds and stuff, and start to create from the divine essence. We talked about, Grand Sheik and I think we talked about the heart. He was talking about the chakras on Friday, and the heart chakra. If we started operating from the heart, that place we would all find ourselves there, creating the reality that is beneficial, not just for us, but for all. And it may not be good for those who have dark hearts. It may not be good for those who signed up to be protagonists and antagonists in this reality, but it will be good for the masses. But we are scattered hither and yon, to and fro, and tossed, as the scripture says, to and fro by every wind and doctrine, by everybody's got opinion, and and they're putting everything at us, at rapid fire. You got TV, you got your phone, and you get, all the different social media platforms. If you listen to radio like I do more than I listen to anything, you got all this stuff coming at you. But if we all operated from our heart chakra, from that sacred heart, we would actually probably come out with the solution that would be conducive to the masses. But they don't want us to think the same. And what they want us to think the same on is the stupid crap. The Bible says whatsoever things are lovely, honest, just, pure, the things that have a good report, things that have a virtue and are praiseworthy. And I'm not being religious. It is a real tenet. They have us thinking about how many people are being shot in our community, how many people are being kidnapped. And I'm not saying it's not happening. It is. But the more we think on those things, what we don't realize is that we provide the energy for more of that to occur.
Yes, you're correct. So we have to get back into a right understanding, a right culture. That's the biggest thing. We've lost our culture. We lost our culture. Okay, you can argue religion is this, religion is that, but you gotta understand religion was part of your culture, because embedded in religion you had cultural ways. And people don't know is, we talked about this at the Ancient Kemetic Institute, that religion was the first law. Okay, so instead of religion rebinding yourself back to your ancestors, you rather give it up because you don't like the word religion. So modern day religions, the three-headed dog, three heads on the same dog, you gotta understand that was hijacked. What you have to do is, you don't throw your religion away, you understand it. You have to resurrect the religion that you once had, and you're gonna have to get back into the spirituality of religion. When I say Islam, I'm not talking about today's unorthodox Islam. I'm a Kemetic Moor. Kemetic Moor, that means Islamism. That means Islam came from Kemet. Okay, it's not the modern day Islam that you see. There's science behind it. Okay, so I didn't throw Islam away because it's I could take the Quran right now, written by the Prophet Muhammad, and go through it esoterically, just like I do the Bible. See, people don't want to understand the esoteric and metaphysics behind these books. See, what happened is, when the European got a hold of these books, the theologians, they did not know the code that was written in these books. So people rather throw away their Bible, throw away their Torah, throw away the Quran, throw away the Tibetan, whatever. No, you have to go back, reread these texts, and understand it from a scientific point of view, a metaphysical point of view, because deep in it, it tells you about you. The whole Bible is about you. The beginning is the first book of it. The Old Testament is you in your old state. The New Testament is you in your new state. Lower self, higher self. You are the Christ in the beginning at the lower self, and you are the Christ at the end, your higher self. Both you are the bright morning star. Okay, in the beginning of the Bible and at the end. So, there's science behind these texts. So what the political agenda did was, it got people to dump their religion. And people don't understand that your religion is also your protection in the political world. Okay, so and I'm saying, and I'm real serious about this. Okay, because when I mention Islam, you'll have some people talking about, oh no, Hotep, oh no, I'm spiritual, I'm chakra, this and that. You do not know that these religions got that information in it. You're just not looking at it. You're not seeing it, because your perception has been changed. Okay, Islamism is the old time religion. That's what Noble Drew Ali brought to us. He brought us the old time religion. Yes, I have a Quran. I have a Circle 7. Okay, Dingle L. See, all these you need to get and look deeper into what it is. But anyway, back to what I was saying. We lost culture. The American way is the Babylonian way. Okay, the American culture is poison. You can look at it in the music. I mean, you can see it on the TV, which is telling lies to your vision, like you said. You know, it's everywhere. The American culture is poison, and basically it put all of us in a melting pot of this new culture called Americanism. Okay, once we get back to our culture, our foundation will be rebuilt stronger, and then you can build the roof over your head. But if you're not fixing your foundation, you are not going to build your house. Ashe? You're muted.
Ashe, yeah, you're right with that. And there's so many aspects to our culture that have been vilified. I had the honor, the privilege last I think it was last July. I traveled to Puerto Rico, and I went alone to understand or to learn about culture, about the Yoruba culture in Puerto Rico. Baba is Faisi, give honor to him, has a beautiful retreat there, and I got to learn about the various herbs and so forth. Got to learn how the healing properties, and I think I spent about 5 or 6 days there, and we learned how to make poultices, and I made healing soaps and so forth. But also learned, more things about our culture and the various deities that people would then, try to vilify. And basically, we see these things. We may call it something different because, as you say, we've been westernized. I want to say we've been more westernized. Because the original Americas or Mexum had the culture. It is when with the interjection here again with the interjection of the of U.S. corporation on our landmass that they started stealing and learning things from us, creating artificial means. Like we had women who were healers. Their history shows them as being witches. They were wise women that could go out into the fields or your grandma and nana could send you out and say, go pick me some of this, or could go themselves and come back. You never saw a doctor. The only doctor that you ever saw was, your grandma or your mother who knew the culture and was able to create the right, mix of herbs and so forth to heal you. They come in, see these types of things, see healings taking place and so forth, learn what it is. Then they take okay, we cannot patent nature, but if we take that natural plant, herb, and what it does and add what they call, their various patented or whatever they call it, they put some kind of proprietary, they call it proprietary ingredient, and there's probably some BS to make you sick, because if grandma's version healed you, then their proprietary interjection is something that's going to just keep you needing more and not ever being well. And so they would come in and they would steal the knowledge. They would take the knowledge, co-opt the knowledge under the guise of wanting just to know what Auntie was doing. And then the next thing you know, she's branded as a witch. Now, they show his story as the witches of Salem, peace, not looking like us, but they look like us. The women that for by and large, that were branded witches and that were killed, that were thrown over Niagara Falls, which used to be called Nigger Falls, and all that, they were melanated. So they steal the culture, they steal the history, they rewrite them, and then they all of a sudden they're these great pharmaceutical, giants, when these things were known from our culture and so forth. So history, like I said, we've been changed out of history, because very seldom have I ever seen a story about so-called witches. And most of the time, and you know what? The other thing, most of the time when you see the witch stories, they're like these cackly old, hags, and they're doing bubble, toil and trouble stuff. When the truth of the matter is that most of the ones that were really branded witches back in our story, they were melanated women that just knew, that were healers, that everybody could go to and knew that if they went to them, they would have the right, potion, if you will, or right creation of herbs to heal them. And so then they put together a story of what a witch is, and it's really them. It's not us.
Right.
And so it's those kinds of things that we have to straighten out, because I have a spiritual daughter that can mix up some stuff that can heal you and can concoct some stuff that can repel you. You see what I'm saying? But we know, and the sisters that I know that know this, they mostly do what they do their work for good. They don't do their work to harm anyone. But these things were taken, and then we were separated from it. We were given Christianity as in their version of Christianity, not the Coptic, the original, whatever, how our belief systems may have coincided with, but we were given this thing that separated us from most of what we knew to be true. And if it was good enough for great grandmama, then it's good enough for me. If it,
Yes.
maybe the times have changed. And yes, we are looking different and thinking different, but there's some basic fundamental things that do not change. And we put more trust now in pharmaceutical companies that are killing us, that have no intention of healing anyone. And we put more faith and stock in that than we do in going back, like I did and others are doing, to embrace the cultures that belong to us, that had along with it the healing components, the deliverance components, the ability to get things done components. We
Right.
reject that for what they've given us.
Right. So you mentioned something about the medicine. So working in the field of medicine. So today's pharmacology is based off old chemistry or alchemical knowledge. So there are some medicines today that are beneficial. Basically what they did was they took the natural ingredients, added their own synthetic formulas to extend the effect of the medication. So some medications can help you, but there are many out there that have adverse effects, and people getting adverse effects and people are getting therapeutic effects. So therapeutic effects like your allergies, whatever. Your adverse is those that's not intended. Those are the ones that can kill you, whatever. So we gotta understand that everything used today is our science, and it came from us, okay? But it's being capitalized. So anytime you capitalize on something, it's not the truth of something. You're just using it or manipulating it for your own benefit or gain, okay? I couldn't help but noticing, what's the name in the chat room? Sean Stanley mentioned that Islam isn't the first, the Quran isn't the first book, regardless it's patriarchal, written by male prophet. So I think she mentioned something about the Mama Wata. So the Mama Wata and the Siblings, it ties into the term witch. I think we said the term witch. And basically all that means is just a female magician. We were all considered magicians, okay? And basically a magician was just someone who could whip up potions to heal you. A magician was someone who could use nature for their own benefit. Like if you look at Voodoo, it's someone who can manipulate the ways of nature to help crops grow, to heal you. Okay, that's all it is. It's just a study in the science of nature. So, but far as the Mama Wata and the Siblings go, it is said that women was the first here on the planet 4,000 or 4 million, whatever years before the men were. Well, people got to understand that you got to get out of that sexism. Okay, I was here first. The woman was here. No, the man was here. See, that kind of thinking right now is what causes division in us. That's what divides our home. Yeah, you got the book right there. So that's the Siblings, where it goes into the archons of the women that were considered witches, mermaids, whatever. And these women were said to rule over the lands. and the men stayed in the house. Okay, like today we got the women staying in the house, being a custodian, whatever. The men during that time allegedly stayed in the house, and the women went out, fought the wars, and such. There it is, right there. And the story goes that, you know, the women at that time gave the men the wisdom, and the men misused that wisdom and sold that and gave that wisdom to other people in other lands, and they overthrew the woman. Well, if you want, there it is. If you want to believe that, you have to put it in context that that may have happened in one part of the land. It's like the Exodus flood. It didn't happen all over the earth. It happened, you know, it might have flooded in one particular spot of the earth. So when you're talking like there was some Amazonian women, whatever, who ruled over lands, and they gave their wisdom to a man, and the men overthrew them, that wasn't all over the world. Okay, because you understand, in our culture, we respect the woman. Okay, and all this patriarchal, all this downing the woman, that did not come from us. And Dr. Lila Africa would tell you that was not in our culture. That was like the Roman, and that was the modern Roman and Greek culture. They did not respect their women. As a matter of fact, in Greek, they called a woman, which meant a wounded man, because she didn't have the phallus. Okay, so the Greeks did that. See, they took our science and just twisted it up. But in our culture, we respected the woman, we respected each other. But if you look at today's culture, the Americanism, you know, you don't have that. You don't have respect for each other. So your households are torn apart. How did that happen? That happened because our culture was taken away. We were given a perception of reality that's not in harmony with our DNA, okay, just to uphold a structure that we were put in. Okay, we were put in this foreign structure and said, hey, just get along. Hey, we're here for you. Vote for us. We do all we can for you. Blah blah blah. Hey, watch this TV so we can show you what you're supposed to really look like, and not like yourselves, and hate your natural selves. So we're taught all this false reality. We're taught an illusion. Okay, this is why we say we're in an illusionary world, because we were given an illusion from the reality that we once had. Okay, because you got to understand that a people who cannot find their origins anywhere on this planet has to create an illusion and interject themselves in the existence, okay, of mankind. All right, so we have to fix ourselves before we have to go to somebody else and ask them to fix us. Oh, let's vote for Biden and Harris. No, we can't ask nobody else to fix us. You have to fix yourself. You got to stop being mentally lazy, start picking up these books, spend a little less time on the internet, and start getting into these books, because you don't realize the internet, these are blue blockers from this computer screen. You don't realize you spend hours in front of the computer screen, you destroy your eyes, you destroy your brain. You got to get back into these books where the knowledge is hidden. See, Dr. G just showed you some books that has more information than you'll find on the internet. Okay, so we have to dig deep into these books that we were once kept from. Okay, so the books that they kept us from, we need to go back and get those books. Now that we have the right understanding to comprehend those books and dig up our history back out of it. Okay, yeah, it's going to cause some cognitive dissonance. You're going to hate yourself. You're going to be like, I don't want to get away from the term black. Oh, I like African American. Well, it's going to mess with you, because truth don't care about your feelings. Truth don't care about your feelings. So, what are you doing over there, Dr. G? You're muted.
I know. I'm trying to put some of these titles in.
Oh, okay. So, you know, we have to get back into our science, okay? Because we're scientists. We have to get back into that. Let's see, what are you putting in there? But I want to stress, I really, really, really want to stress, you have to pay attention to what is about to change, okay? See, they're giving you the ability to get all this conscious information and knowing about all these books and everything, which is good, but we are in a time of disparity. So your mind is being distracted right now. Politics right now is doing some things that's going to change the whole way we're living. If you haven't noticed yet, we are not in a normal life anymore. Okay, we can't even go outside and breathe fresh air without getting a fine, or we can't navigate certain places if we don't have a mask on. And I'm gonna tell you, if you don't already know, those masks make you unhealthy. You're breathing into a mask all the waste that your cells release, and it's getting on your face and clogging your pores. So if you wear a mask all day, wash your face. If you don't, it's going to re-enter into your pores, okay, cause some kind of bacteria or whatnot. And I'm telling you from experience, okay, because when I deal with patients, I got to wear a mask all day. And then I find out my face is starting to break out. Okay, I'm getting headaches because of this mask. Okay, so then you have the racism. Okay, now don't get me wrong, the militia and all that, you know, all that's good, whatever, you know, people rising up, whatever, more power to you, but it's still taking you away from what is about to happen in politics, which governs your lifestyle right now. Please pay attention. See, in the beginning of the year, everybody was paying attention to what politics was doing. Where my check at? Oh, I lost my job. I ain't got no money, whatever. I missed my check. You get what I'm saying? So what they do, they go up, they start showing you people getting killed on TV and all this racist stuff, and your mind just went, phew. I'm like, they know what works. And the reason why I mention all this is just like the word, his story. Okay, he's a robber, a thief. He will rob you of your mind and your perception of reality. Okay, you know, I hate to talk like this, but truth don't care about your feelings. I'm sorry. I don't hate anybody on this planet, you know, because I live by love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Okay, I hate no one. But truth is truth and facts are facts. You're going to have to get up out of your feelings. You're going to have to, I hate to say it, you're going to have to change the way you're living. You're going to have to get back into your culture, okay, your science, your original mindset on how we define the words. Okay, I'm passionate about it. What does passion mean? Passion means suffering. So I'm passionate about teaching. That's what I do. I'm a teacher. Okay, I teach many things. So that is my passion. That is my suffering in life. And I'm willing to suffer to teach the truth and bring the truth, no matter who hates me, no matter who disagrees with me. Okay, and disagreements are fine because that makes me go back and relook at what I just said. And I'm like, oh, I was wrong. Like Dr. G, she would disagree with some stuff. What I do, I stay humble. I go back and look. I'm like, you know what, Dr. G, you was right. I missed that paragraph. See, this is the kind of relationships that we need to have. Because see, my teacher, Co-host Bey, he taught us that good relationships is the kingdom of God. Okay? Good relationships is the kingdom of God. We need to get back into having good relationships, respecting each other, stop downing each other. I'm seeing too much of that. Okay? I'm seeing too much of that. So, like for instance, no matter how you feel about the brother over there at the NFAC, I just find it kind of weird that you got people coming out from that, you know, being snitches and telling, but you were cool with it at first. You knew all this, but you were cool at first. And I guess you didn't get what you want, and then you want to come out and, you know, we do each other like that all the time. All the time. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's entertaining to the European. Okay? It's entertaining to see us fight. Okay? We need to start backing each other, supporting each other, teaching each other, resurrecting or uplifting each other. Okay? I don't care. Look, if you see somebody doing good works, it is not their past that defines them. It's their actions today that defines them. We have a lot of brothers and sisters that go to prison for petty stuff, who were framed, who were innocent. And when they get out of prison, what we do? We judge them. Oh, you're a felon, whatever. Stop it. Stop it. Whatever their actions is today If they are spreading good word, their virtue is of moral value and character, support them. Okay? Yeah, you got to watch out for the con people out there. You know, people are out there to con you, but you have to use your discernment. And you don't have discernment if you don't have an open mind. Okay? So we're in a time of information and technology. We're already 150 years behind in this system. Okay? So we're bringing you the science of words, the science of the mind, the science of the body. Okay? And see, today's society has broken up our science into so many pieces. Like those of you who know, Osiris was chopped up into 14 pieces. Okay? 14 confusing little pieces. Well, if you look at today, like for example, in the medical field, what does the medical science society do? They chop up the body into 12 systems. The body is not 12 separate systems. It's one whole system. So you got to understand that we as a people who brought the science to the civilization, we understand everything on a holistic understanding and comprehension. It's only in this modern time where everything's broken up and fragmented. Okay? Right now, there's a war for your body and your mind. Right now, more so your body. With the vaccines and everything coming up, you know, they even let you know in a nonchalant way that the novel virus was weaponized. They let you know that without coming out saying that. So how did a weapon get released into society and it's worse in America than it was in China when it began with? Why is it worse in America than any other nation? That's not coincidental. Okay, so we're still dealing with his Tory, okay, his robbery, his theft of your mind and your body, and you have to get back into that fold of understanding. Ashe, you muted.
I know I'm muted. I love this mute feature because when my dog goes off, then I can like go off the screen and choke him.
Bring the dog on. Bring the dog on here. Bring him on.
No. Listen, we are trying to do our best to give you, as you said, this information mainly to make you think. I think I know, not just think, but I know that once one's own faculties are operating at their highest potential, that anything can come forth out of an individual. But we've been so suppressed, like you said, and so many things have occurred to deliberately make us, and I said it earlier, to make us think that we're less than, that we've adopted it. We've adopted it. I was listening to a friend of mine. I have a friend. He's called the Oracle, and he's called the Master Oracle. And we've been friends probably for maybe about 8 years or so. I spoke for him in DC, and he's now on a farewell tour around the United States because he's getting ready to actually relocate to. And I don't want to say the wrong place, but it's in one of the, I guess, Southeast Asia. I don't know whether it's Taiwan. He's going somewhere in one of those countries. And he realizes that, because we were talking today, and he said, you could do pretty much, and people are realizing this with this pandemic, that you could always work from anywhere. You know what I mean? I'm in Delaware. You're in Kentucky. No, yeah, you are.
Yeah,
no,
Kentucky.
You're in Kentucky. Yeah, I mean, people are all over all over the world. Are actually listening to us. And so you could pretty much do whatever you do from wherever you want to do it from and still reach the world. And so, but my friend, I happened to go to his page today, and he had, he's not one that, claims his Moorish nationality, and he doesn't deny that it's true, but he's just not one that does that. And he was speaking on something that he had made a sort of a word about the law. And I asked him, so I was so excited about what I heard, I'd ask him if I could actually share it. And I couldn't figure out how to upload it because I only wanted to use the first few minutes of it because it was like a 21-minute thing. But it was what he was saying about the law. about law and what's the law in us versus the law that is that artificial law. And it was just so refreshing that he said this in 2017. What he said in 2017, and then he must have reposted it recently. You know how it comes up as a memory. And when I saw it, I had to call him. I hadn't spoken with Reverend Q for like several years, and we just had a wonderful time. But it was just the fact when I saw his level of understanding and understanding of what is actually going on, that it applies. It's the same thing that we as conscious Moors talk about what is law. Where does the law really come from? How many times have we acquiesced to what we think is the law, which is really of us just tacit acquiescence when it comes to our own rights and so as we get our birthright. And we follow a lot of things that have us twisted, that have us trying to figure out which of the bad people is the best for us.
Right. Ain't that something?
It would, who among the worst would be best for us? And just the fact to hear stuff like people aren't voting for Biden because they like Biden because he's as senile as hell, but they're voting for Biden because they hate Trump. So you would go for that. This is a known quantity, and this is also the fact that I've seen so many, people get mad at me. They say, you'll never say publicly that you support Trump over Biden. I guess I just did. I'm not saying that I didn't vote for him, but what I've learned over the last 3+ years of what I've seen in the Democratic Party and what I've learned about where they come from and where they stand, and this thing that we're going through right now, which I know didn't come from the current administration, but the current administration has had to deal with it as something that's been thrown in to thwart the fact that more melanated people were working during his administration than the previous administration when the person did look like us, that the economy was in better shape than prior to that a lot of things were going good, and he was bragging, and they were like, oh yeah, okay, you gonna brag about this, we got something for you, right. And so the first couple things came, they were like, and they were personal attacks. They were like, we're going to impeach you. We're going to do, we're going to hold up your person that you want in the Supreme Court and put some stuff out on that. We're going to say you were involved with this thing and that thing with Russia and all that. And those things were found out to be not true. But now we got the mother of all getches. And in getting him, we all have suffered. We all have been put under this. And then we're sitting, and then we're told, this is the thing that, and I didn't mean for this to become political, but I need this to be heard. The fact of the matter is that now the very ones that create the problem, and not only this one, but others, are the same ones that come in like the cavalry offering the solution. If you have never created the problem from the beginning, then we wouldn't need your solution. We wouldn't need your vaccination. It is not being pushed by this administration, is being supported to get one quick so that we can get back to normal. But I don't trust the people that are making it, because it was something they've talked about a long time ago. And it's probably something that is going to help further their plan, whoever they are, to depopulate. And so if we don't see that, then, I need to, elevate myself and ascend myself out of this BS, because people's mindset will destroy. The masses can destroy everybody. Like I said, if we all start dealing from the heart chakra, we can make a change. But if we always all up here in our emotions and the stuff that we see and hear, we're going to make wrong decisions. We're not making right decisions. I'm like, these people, and none of them are for my good. Like Grand Sheik says, they're both fighting over our estate. However, one is willing to kill us to get it. Right. Will make us want us to be happy and under subjection. But there's one side, the one you think is for you, that would rather kill you. And folks need to know that. They need to know historically. These are the same people that brought blankets with smallpox on them, that had disease and tried to kill off the people. Come on. Nothing's changed. And like I said, I'm reading this. I brought this up when Grand Sheik was on the other day. Generations is the book. The History of America's Future. You look where it goes from 1584 to 2069 by William Strauss and Neil Howe. I got another book by them. I forgot the other one. 2 books. This book mentions, and I read it, and I don't know what, I just turned to it while we were reading. It mentions, it was written in 1991, Brother Amenaru, and it talks about the crisis of 2020.
There you go.
Come on now. They wrote his story long before they put it out. I'm not saying that these guys are the bad guys. I'm saying in general, they have 1,000-year plans, and we can't plan for next week.
I know, right? Yeah, people need to understand that. How do you communicate with someone without talking to them? And I ain't talking about email from one place to the other. How the old way was what? Send a pigeon with a note on it, or send a horse carrier, or even put a note in a bottle, throw it out to sea so somebody can find it on another land. So we're talking about old concept. We're talking about new concepts, but it's not new, it's old. So what they do is there are people who encode information into books. It's always, anciently, it's always been that way. So when you encode information in books, you can hide it when it circulates. Okay, like I said, with the Bible, Quran, all that, you can codify words. So it circulates and it gets to the people who know what the message is. Now, we've been taught that conspiracy theory is nothing but made up theology, whatever, it's not facts. But then when we are given facts, we're always like, well, that's conspiracy theory. Oh, okay. And then when you see the conspiracy theory happen in real life, you don't hear those people. They're back. And now they're talking about it. Okay. So, and someone asked, how is European assimilation programming keeping hold of our sisters and brothers by Bruce Banks? So it's keeping hold by keeping you in a perception of reality that's not of you. Okay. It's like Allah. We're not Allah, but we are of it. We are not this culture and system. We are just of it. Okay. So we were placed in a system, given a certain kind of education so we can play along in the system. But we're starting to figure out that the system, 1, was never made for us to begin with, and 2, the information and the way of life is causing us to not only become more diseased and sick, but also making us question some of the things that we're experiencing in our lifetime. So it goes back to, in order to keep a lie upheld, you gotta enforce it with another lie, where you can only lie so much before the truth come cracking down on your face. Okay, so they say when the sun hit high noon, all lies will be exposed, or all truth will be hidden because you can't see the light. Okay, so however you look at it, it's just showing, and you gotta understand there are laws. Someone said something between legal and lawful. Lawful is an action. Legal is something that is formed. So you got to understand that a lot of things that are formed in the legal paradigm, it enforces our perception of reality. So for an example, you have laws. You have so many laws. I'm surprised that we have laws.
I'm not sure. You seem to be frozen there. Let's figure out what's going on. Okay. Well, while we figured out where my brother is, I want to read something from this. This is a book. You have to read this. Written in 19 91. Listen at this. Just one pair. It says, let's assume the crisis arrives on schedule. Because they're talking about the, oh, wait a minute. Let me go back here. Wait a minute. Let me just read that. It says, this is on page 381. Enter the crisis 2020. Let's see if I can get him back on here. Got to read this to y'all. This is on page 381. Enter the crisis 2020. It's having some issues. When will crisis come? The climactic event may not arrive exactly in the year 2020, but it won't arrive much sooner or later. A cycle, and this is talking about cycles that have happened and they've been able to observe since 1584. A cycle is the length of 4 generations, or roughly 85 years. If we plot a half cycle ahead from the boom awakening and find that 44th anniversary of Woodstock and the Reagan Revolution, we project a crisis lasting from 2013 to 2024. If we plot a full cycle ahead from the last secular crisis and find the 88th anniversary of the FDR landslide in Pearl Harbor Day, we project a crisis lasting from 2020 to 2029. By either measure, the early 2020s appear fateful. And it talks about various things that are going to happen. How will this crisis end? Let's assume the crisis arrives on schedule around the year 2020. And y'all know what's going on. Once the end is in view, all generations will gaze hopefully toward the milk and honey of the post world. By the year 2030, American society will settle into an outer-driven era. Boomers will start moving on to the old rung, 13ers to elderhood, and millennials to midlife. New adaptives will quiescently come of age, and indulge new crop of idealist children will command adult affections. I'm not going to read anymore. What I was trying to point out to you is that in 1991, these two guys predicted that there would be a crisis in 2020. And sure as the nose is on my face, in January, we started to see the rumblings of it. By March, the first quarter of the so-called new year, we were in full bloom that a crisis had taken place. And I'm saying this because everything seems it is cyclical to an extent. And I get with the phrase that those who do not know the past are destined to repeat it. And even and somebody wrote it in the comments that said that Trump said that recently. And he was throwing out a hint. He's saying, look, you people, this ish ain't new. You need to go back and see what happened before in order to see what you can do differently this time, because everything has a trajectory. You know that, Brother Amenaru. Everything has a certain trajectory, but trajectories can be thrown off course. Case in point, the NASA or whoever is watching the skies sees that a meteor is headed towards a certain area. That's the trajectory that the course it is on is going to hit, say, New York. They can throw up a missile or launch something that will intersect with it and blow it up in space before it hits and change the trajectory. And yes, it's still going to fall in places. And yes, some folk are still going to get, hurt, and things are going to be lost as a result of it. But the major impact of what could have been will have been changed by the actions of someone with foreknowledge of what's going on. So we have got to get better equipped, if you will, with what has happened. And we got to stop just reading books that were written by us. This wasn't written by us. You know what I mean? We got to get some of the stuff that they've been putting out and read it. We got to stop just listening to the mainstream media stations that cater to urban music, because you know most of those DJs and so forth are paid to say certain things, and those people, even some of the national people that we listen to, you got to listen to some of that alternative stuff and hear what they're saying too. Because I do. People get mad at me for doing that, but I do, because I need to hear. I need balance, and you're not going to get. I don't watch late night stuff anymore. I don't like late night entertainment, all those talk shows, daytime, none of it, because it's all slanted towards it's political. That's not what that used to be. It used to be make you laugh, have forget. Everything now is that doggone dirty rotten Trump. But right. It's that doggone dirty rotten demo party that's putting it all out. So who's got something to hide? That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? You need to get yourself knowledgeable about what is going on, what has happened, what historical his stuff, what of his stuff has happened in the past that you need to be aware of in your present in order to make a difference in your future.
That's right. That's right. You know, that's why I say, Dr. G, I think you'd be reading my mind sometime, because you know, when you told me what the topic of the show was, it came on time, because I had a meeting with a friend of mine, and we went over, you know, she was kind of like an abolitionist. She was like, you know, for equal rights for African Americans, whatever, you know, and we're talking about these equity, the diversity equity classes they're trying to force everybody to take. And I said to them, I was like, you have to understand that the issue of racism, which is political, we're talking political, the issue of racism will never go away as long as you keep reintroducing it in the subconscious mind of the people. So what these racial equity classes do is they keep taking you back to a point of time where we were subjected to involuntary work, okay? And I say, you keep showing these people this, they're always going to keep remembering just that part of history. I said, if you want to have a true diversity equity, you have to go beyond our experience of slaveryism and go back to who we were. Okay, you're going to have to get past those terms: white, black, Negro, colored, African American, spook, shine, whatever they used to call us. You have to go beyond that and dig back up who we were. Okay, that's the only way you're going to fix this, because what's going to happen is you're going to get back, like I said earlier, you're going to get back into showing our people who they are, what their culture was, and how they really lived, the accomplishments and great historical, it's in his history, he just don't tell us this, events that happened. You know, we, like someone said, we were rulers, we had empires, you know, we cultivated civilization. Okay, so you will never fix the political racism because it's used as a distraction so those in politics can govern over you. Okay, because once we all see, people don't realize that in the original 13 colonies, it was us. Okay, we were the original 13 colonies, and a lot of them were of the Hebrew or Jewish faith. Okay, and we actually had our own culture. Yeah, we had the colonists over here, but those wars were not because of your skin color. Okay, those wars were due over resources. Because think about it, if they were thinking about slaves then, they wouldn't try to kill off the Aboriginal people, the indigenous people. It was only until the Christian slave codes came in where they're like, no, don't kill all the indigenous people. Let's change them to Negroes and these other terms, and we can use them for labor. You get what I'm saying? So back to my argument earlier, we have to get back into the fold of our culture and our pedigree. And like I said, and I'm gonna keep bringing this up, Taj has told y'all for years about this. You know, I remember getting introduced to Taj years ago in the information, and I'm like, it'll do that. It'll make your mind explode. So what we're saying is very important. No, it didn't mean for this to be political, but what did we learn about the word Tory? It was later applied to conservatives, a political party. See, everything is politics. Whenever you get a group or a nation of people to move onto a land and subject it with their laws, that's political. Okay? You can't escape it. Everything's political. When you fight over kingdoms, you know, it's political. So unfortunately, we're in a political paradigm. But back to what she said earlier, oh, Trump this, Trump that, Biden this, Biden that. Do we vote for the lesser evil and this and that? It's polish a turd, it's still the same turd. Okay? No matter who's ruling over the toilet, we're still in a toilet. You know? And the only way you can get out of the toilet is to climb your ass out of the toilet. Okay? Quit being a little floater and going along with the dirty waters. Yeah, I hate to put it in that analogy, but you know, we're all still in the toilet. We're in a melting pot, and we're just fighting over who sits on the toilet. Oh, I want that policy. I want that president. Why are you picking people to sit on the toilet and continue to, like, you know, defecate all over you? This is my point. You will not be who you can be and wield the power that you can wield until you return to self, okay, and self-govern. Govern over yourself, over your mind, and your body. We are the original doctors. We are the original scientists. We are the original fathers. We are the original mothers of this planet. We're part of the netter, the mother, okay? Nettle metter, that's the mother nature. That's where we come from. We wasn't genetically modified. We wasn't gene spliced, because in Kemet, in other parts of the planet, they were doing gene splicing before y'all even knew what it was. You know, the Germans just have to get a hold of this and start experimenting with it a little bit more. But we have to get back into the right state of mind. And Dr. G, don't forget to remind me that there's something I need to say before we close out, whenever we do close out. And it's very important. All right, Ashe.
Ashe. You are so right. You know, we need to return back, you know, as the prophet told us to do, back, you know, to the, you know, under the ancient fold of our ancient mothers and fathers. We need to go back to the culture. We need to relearn the things that, you know, learn the things that have been taken away from us and that we've taken for granted because we moved into a microwave. We want it quick. We want it now. Mindset, you know, we've gotten away and we've accepted things that have been detrimental, just all in the name of just getting things done quickly and swiftly. So we've lost our patience. Patience which is a virtue that we as a people have had bred out of us by, you know, by all of the so-called modern conveniences, you know, the smartphones, you know, the smartphones. And the brother, I love it when he showed how the etymology of the word smart. And we used to say that, oh, that's smart. That means pain. That's hurt. So we could be running around with hurtful products that even though we need to use them to an extent to do the things that we're doing, we're accepting negativity into our own lives, into the lives of our families, just because those are the things that have been given to us as an alternative to what we had naturally that they took from and then created their own. Just like pharmaceuticals, when you take the natural things, what is the natural of a smartphone? Telepathy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Not a telephone, telepathy. I think of you, you think of me, we communicate and we know what each other are thinking and desiring, and it just, that is. So their version of telepathy is telephone. You know what I mean? You just got to think in terms of how we have been robbed of the things that, you know, we weren't behind the times when it comes to the civilization and so forth. We knew how we knew how to create technology, because most of the technology that you see today is what was created, you know, way back when, and it's just now being brought forward. And we just think that these are some new modern interventions and so forth. But what they've done is they've taken the things that were natural, and they, you know, in their always attempt to make something proprietary that they can charge you for, they've always added something, unfortunately, that's harmful and detrimental in the long way, but that they can benefit from in the long term, you know. And so we do need to start getting into meditation. And I know this was not, but how do you combat his Tory? You begin to not be, you know, my granddaughters yesterday were here. My granddaughter is one of my granddaughters is an awesome baker, and she brought me a cake because she was taking the cake to a client, and her sister, the lady's cake, something happened to the lady's cake. She said, I have another cake, I'm bringing the cake. She said, Mom, can I bring you your cake tomorrow, which would have been today? I said, fine. So she's putting the new cake in the box, going to take the lady her birthday cake. Her sister puts her pocketbook on top of the cake box in the back seat and smashes the new cake. So my granddaughter, you know, my granddaughter's telling me, one granddaughter saying, she doesn't think. She tore my car up a couple weeks ago by, you know, texting and ran into a trash can and totaled my car. And now she just doesn't think. I said, she's got what's called, she said, it's teenagers, because my granddaughter, one is 32 and her sister is 17, 18. So she's like, she's got this teenage brain. I said, it's called a monkey brain. But not just teenagers that have monkey brain. All that to say this. We have these brains that go from, minds go from here to here. I'm like that sometimes. I gotta like, whoa, bring it in. You know, let's harness this energy and let's think something through. We don't think anything through. So we need to get into meditation. Okay. So we need to meditate. And when you meditate, it begins to heal, take you up into a level of somebody mentioned ascension. Meditation can help aid in the ascension process, because it takes you out of dealing with the day-to-day, what's going on now, and it allows you to have mindfulness, as they say, and you can see these things, they come, but you got to let them float by and be concentrating to a level, meditating at a point where the things, the answers that you seek, the innovation that you desire to be a part of and all that, the solution that you want to be, the answer to the thing that you have been trying and racking your brain to come up with, is all in a place of non-distraction called meditation. Right. They want you distracted.
Yeah, and it recollaborates your mind too. So when I meditate, let me get this right here. When I meditate, I hold this in my hand. Okay. I hold this in my hand. So people think of this as the phallus and the uterus, fallopian tubes, and they look at this as a symbol of life. Okay, but this is also a symbol of vibration, which creates life. So when I hold this in my hand, I form the words or the frequency that forms the symbol. Okay, and for those of you who don't know, this was not the original symbol of the Ankh. Okay, the original symbol of the Ankh did not look nowhere like this. And as a matter of fact, parts of the Ankh went across lands, and it became also associated with the Christian fish that you see on people's cars. But I ain't gonna get into that. But anyway, so this is a vibratory sigil. Okay, this part here, that is the Ah, that's the Aleph, that's Ah. Okay, take this off, you have the Om, this is O. Okay, so when you say Ah, you are putting the vibrational force out into the ether. Okay, that creates, that manifests. When you close your mouth and you go Om, you are returning that energy within yourself, and you're healing yourself. Okay, so this sigil is really pronounced Ankh. So you say Aum. That's what this is. That is the sound of life. So when you see this and you see it up against the mouth on the Egyptian things, that represents the vibration that forms this. Okay, this is a ah and a om. And in the woman, when a male is with a woman, that vibrational force is what moves matter, animates matter to create life. Okay, because vibration moves the intelligence of matter. But anyway, I ain't gonna get too deep into that. So for those who meditate, do the yoga, whatever, that's what the Ankh means. Okay.
That's good. That's good information. We have 4 minutes left, and you said that was something that you wanted to.
Yes.
Say.
So I want to say peace and blessings, and I want to give my condolences to Brother Sabir Bey, who lost his son Amir recently. And Brother Sabir Bey, I feel your pain, and I'm sorry for your loss. I know you're a strong brother, and I know you understand how the ethers work. Okay, and you know as well as anybody know, Amir is gone in the flesh, but he's not gone in the spirit because he dwells in you. Okay, same blood. But my brother Sabir Bey, I just want to say, it was a tragedy, and I'm sorry that happened. And I wish you well, and I wish you safe healing. You can contact any one of us here at the House of Reawakening Minds. We're here for you. And I just wanted to get that out, okay, just to let you know that we are thinking about you in our hearts and in our minds, okay? Islam,
yes. We the memorial service was held yesterday in Philadelphia for Brother Sabir's son Amir, and we do echo your condolences to our brother. And it's not easy to lose a child, and I've lost a child, not to violence, but just to an untimely early death, my daughter. So I know that the pain is pain, of loss, and so our hearts do go out to him. But we do, like I said, we want you to know that I'm going to close this. Sorry about that. Didn't realize my phone was on. We do want you to know that we are here because we do this because we love our people. We love you, our people, and we just want to make sure that we are giving you tools and that you can use to dig and find out the things that you need. You're going to have to mine for your own goal, but sometimes all you need are the tools, you know what I mean, to go searching. So we share the books and we share the various things that we do in order to give you that type of resources. And no, we're not saying that we're the be all and end all. We're not that, but because we have what we have, as there's a scripture that says, such as I have, I give unto you. You know what I mean? I can't give you what I don't have. And so we're not trying to do that, but we're giving you what we do have in hopes that it will inspire you to do your own digging and your own exploration and discovery of truth that you can make your own. I want to go out with, I just want to do a poem. How about that? I'm gonna share a poem I wrote that's in this book. Poetry is the musings of an undercover writer, and it's called Life's Fairy Tale. And it says, and let me tell you about this, a little bit of background on this. One day I called Grand Sheikh Tashriq Bey back in like 2012. Somebody asked me to ask him a question because they knew I could get in touch with him. I called him to ask him a question, and 30 minutes later, as I was still waiting for the answer, because he was giving me a lesson, he started teaching me, and he never really had answered my question. So as he was giving me the background of what was going to lead up to the answer of my question, I started doodling I was in my office and I started doodling, on my, you have the desk calendar, and I started writing fairy tales because I was like, this is gonna take a while. And so I started writing fairy tales, names of fairy tales all over my desk calendar, my desk pad, waiting for Grand Sheik to give me the response. And when I finished talking to him, this poem came to mind. And so I just want to share it. It says, Jack, how far are you going to climb up that stalk? Jill, how long you going to fall before you walk? Old woman, how long will you live in that shoe? Little boy, little boy, why you so blue? Rapunzel, what's up with that hair? Georgie Porgy, why don't you care? Hansel and Gretel, y'all stay out the woods. Little Red's riding so cool through the hood. Reality's like a fairy tale, didn't you know? Tell a lie, Pinocchio, and your nose starts to grow. Alice tumbled down a long rabbit hole and discovered why Peter Pan never grew old. You've awakened today to find to your surprise that the things you relied on were really true lies. How could what you thought all these years not be true? Well, the truth is distorted by an unscrupulous few. But like the wicked queen looking into a mirror, asking who is fairest among them all, Snow White will one day rule the whole kingdom, and this empire of deception will crumble and fall. Ashe.
Ashe, ashe.
Life's fairy tale. And it kind of goes in line with what we were talking about, the things that aren't history.
Why isn't that book in my collection?
Why don't you have, why doesn't everybody have a copy of this of this book? This is look, I'm blurring out. This is the book, y'all. Okay. Anywho.
What?
Actually, my sister Cynthia Martin L is going to be reprinting that book for me, and we're going to make a few changes because I'm going to take out some things and put some of my newer poems in there, but that one is the one. And as a matter of fact, Grand Sheik Tashtarik Bey wrote the foreword to this book. Mm-hmm. So just a wonderful he encouraged me to write this. So anywho.
Oh, someone said tell him how to get a copy.
Tell him how to get it. Oh, well, you know what? I think I have like two. I think out of books. We're actually literally getting ready to going to reprint Cynthia Martinell. Let me post this up here. Every time you see this, when I post buy this book today, that's Sister Cynthia Martinell, who is a publisher. So any of you out there that are writers and you're thinking about going to this place and that place to get your book published, Sister Cynthia Martinell has Noble 7 Publishing, and she has this website, buy this book today. She actually promotes, the books and so forth of others. And like I said, we will be thank you for doing the edits on my cover, Brother Amenaru, who is, for those of you who don't know and have just started to tune into us, Brother Amenaru is in the medical profession, but he is an accomplished artist. He is a commission artist who does commission pieces and does, he is among other things, among him being a teacher and instructor and so forth, but other things, he is actually an artist, and he was able to do some edits for my cover for the reprint of my book, which will be coming forth. Hopefully we get it done before this so-called year is out. But I thank you so much. We thank you so much for tuning in to all of what House of Reawakening Minds offers. Everything that we do is in support of House of Reawakening Minds. It's just because, this was the mandate I was given, the commission that I was given after awakening from being a pastor being in ministry for 25 years, the last 10 of those almost being a pastor. My new assignment was to reawaken minds. And that's what, with the help of others like Grand Sheik Tashtarik Bey, Brother Amenaru, Sister Tamara L, Brother Abdullah, Brother Shem, and others who have come before them, just all of those, who you are, all of you who support us. This is what we do, why we do, I do what I do, why they do what they do, because this is a mandate of which we all support and buy into that we need to do. It's past time. It's already been written in his story about what they want to do to us. It's time for our story to rewrite his story so that we can have our own reality. So we thank you so much. I will be coming back on in probably half hour or so. Just going to take a break. I'm going to come on and do a silver update. I'm just going to let y'all know, tell y'all what's going on and why you need to do what you need to do now instead of yesterday. Again, and support what is going on. Our brother Amenaru has his own silver going there. You see him right there, and you can acquire silver with him and any of the other wealth ambassadors that are involved. And I'm so happy, Brother Amenaru, last night, I reached 100. There are exactly 100 wealth ambassadors that I have personally enrolled, and that was my goal. That's to get awesome. To 100. So now I guess I better set one for 200, right?
Awesome.
There's 100 of you out there that need to be involved in what we're doing. So you can sign up under Brother Amenaru. But any of you who are on, who are part of Quicksilver, you want to come back, I'm going to set something up in about an hour. You know what I do when you're on there, I post your link so that people can support you. So we're going to talk about what's going on and why we need to be involved in that. But we certainly do appreciate it again. And I'm sorry that we put this over the message to Brother Sabir. But again, to Brother Sabir and family, to his kinfolk, to everyone, our heartfelt condolences go out to you in the transition, in the tragic transitioning of your son Amir, and know that we're here for you and we love you. So thank you so much, so very much for tuning in. And like I said, we came in with the short version of Dr. G, and know you love this music that was created by my brother Hassan Ghaziel Bey, who he put me on the map with my own theme song. Shout out to him, who is an awesome astrologer. We're gonna go out with what would you call it? The long version, the one that you can groove to. Thank you so much.
Dr. G. Really? Oh shit.
Yeah, that's me.
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 Dr. G.
Yeah, that's me.